I am Stavros. I'm an account manager here at the company, and I will be presenting today's webinar, which is on binary options. A lot of you have made a lot of requests about this, so we wanted to take the time to prepare a very nice webinar that is going to explain how all of this is going to work. All right, so enjoy, guys. Make sure to leave your questions in the comments below. I'm going to be answering every single one of them at the end. And before we begin, please take a couple of seconds just to read the disclaimer. It is very, very important to understand it. Okay? All right, guys. So if you've all read the disclaimer, let's begin. Now, on our agenda today, what do we have? We are going to be talking about what exactly binary options is and how it works. We're going to be talking about all the assets that you can actually trade with binary options. We are going to be discussing the availability of binary options, risks, rewards, of course. We're going to be talking about all the expiration times that you're going to be able to use. We're, of course, going to be talking about the different limits. So how much you can potentially invest. And, of course, how you are going to be trading with binary options, the different charts that you're able to use, and candlestick time periods. Finally, we are going to have our Q&A. Okay, so again, leave your questions in the comments below, and we are going to answer all of them. So, what exactly is binary options? So binary options is a trading instrument that actually offers you a guaranteed return if your prediction is correct about a specific asset's price within a specific time frame. If though your prediction is not correct, the risk is just limited to your investment amount. So in the example that you invest $1 and your prediction is not correct, you're only going to lose that $1. You're not going to lose more than what you have or whatever you have in your balance. It's just that amount. All right. So this basically involves predicting, deciding whether the price of the underlying asset, and when I mean by underlying asset, this can be a currency pair, it can be a stock, whether or not the price of this asset is either going to go up or down. I'll give you an example of this. So let's say that you select higher. You're going to get a profit if the price is higher than the opening price. If you choose lower, you will get profit if the closing price is actually lower than the opening price. And here's a couple of different scenarios. So first of all, let's say that your prediction is correct. What do you get? You get your investment plus your payout. If your prediction is wrong, you lose your initial investment. So you lose 100% of your investment amount. But as we mentioned before, guys, you are only going to losing what you've invested, nothing more. So again, nothing from your balance, just your investment amount. Finally, the last scenario, if the closing price is actually the same level as the opening price, you just get your investment back. What kind of assets can you trade with binary options? Now, of course, you are able to trade on currency pairs, the most popular. You can use Euro USD, USD JPY. All the currency pairs that are most popular are available when it comes to trading with options. You also have commodities, so you can also trade with commodities, of course. All right, so gold, silver, you're going to be able to trade on them with options, with binary options. And of course, stocks. You have the most popular stocks that you are going to be able to trade on and make a profit off of them. I do want to point out, guys, that all the available assets are going to depend on availability of your country, on market conditions. So these things are going to vary. Talking about availability, of course, binary options is available 24 hours a day, 5 hours a week. And in the case that the market is closed, so you're not able to trade, for example, on the weekends, we have what we call OTC. This is basically an algorithm that we've developed to mimic market conditions, so you can basically also trade when the markets are closed. All right, so again, binary options is available from Monday to Friday, 24 hours a day. And when the markets are closed, you're still able to trade with OTC, which again is basically our simulated market conditions. So every Friday at 9 p.m. GMT time, the markets close, of course, and IQ options switches to OTC. Every Monday at 12 GMT time, IQ option switches from OTC, guys, to normal market conditions. I want to point something out. During the weekends, you can only trade on currency pairs. And the sell button that we're going to be discussing later on is not going to be available. Okay? Now, when it comes to trading with binary options, the most attractive thing about them is that you have different expiration times to use. This is one of the most attractive things about options. So you're able to use different expiration times, which are usually very short, and you're able to adjust your trade accordingly. So we have our turbo options, first of all, which is 1 to 5 minutes. We have our binary options, which is 15 minutes till the end of the month. Now, guys, I want to point out that profit is going to vary. What do I mean by this? So the profit that you're going to get when you're trading turbo options or binary options isn't always going to be the same. It's going to be different depending on different reasons, such as market conditions, for example. Okay, now I want to show you a couple of things on the platform regarding what we discussed so far. So bear with me 1 minute. Let me switch onto the platform. And I want to show you what I mean. So can everyone see my platform? All right, I'm assuming everyone can see my platform. That is perfect. So when you are going to be trading on options, you're going to, of course, press on new asset. You're going to go to your binary options, and here you're going to see all the available options that you can choose from, all the assets that are currently available. You're also going to be able to see the profitability, which you can adjust here. Okay, so 93, 92 for options varying from 1 minute. You're also able to see here that stocks are also available, and these grade ones here are the OTC that I talked about. So these will open, as we said before, when the markets close, and you get the simulated environment which you can trade on the weekends. You see here, guys, you can see all the different expiration times that you have here. The profitability is going to be different. You can also see profitability here. Okay. And depending on what you choose, you're going to have a different percentage profit. All right. Moving on to our next slide, guys. All right, so let's talk a little bit about risks and rewards. As we mentioned before, one of the most attractive things in options is that you're able to adjust your expiration time. You're able to have different expiration times, and also you have a very good reward to gain. So you are able to get a 95% return on your investment amount. And in some cases, you can even make double your money. Now, in terms of risks, we did discuss this before. you are limited to only losing 100% of your investment amount. So if you invest $5, you're only going to lose those $5. The maximum you can lose is those $5, guys. Expiration time and purchase time. Now, this is something that I'm seeing a lot of people get confused with, and I wanted to take the time to explain this to you. Now, what exactly is expiration time? Expiration time is the red line that you're seeing on the right, and this basically represents the deadline of the trade, when the trade is going to close. On the other hand, the purchase line, which is the left one, which is the white dotted line, that just shows the time that you're able to purchase an additional option, that you're able to press higher or lower at that time. Now, there is going to be a gap between these two lines. When you're trading with turbo options, the gap between the red line, so the expiration line, and the purchase line is going to be 30 seconds. And of course, for binary options, it's going to be 5 minutes. And again, as you can see here, we have the purchase line on the left and the expiration time on the right. Okay, so we've talked about a lot of things. I also want to mention about the limits. How much can you invest? You can start with a very, very small investment of $1. And you guys know that the minimum deposit is just $10. So even if you are a beginner, even if you want to give this a shot, it's your first time here, you are a beginner, and you don't want to be risking too much money. You can start with a simple deposit of just $10, and you can start with a minimum investment of just $1. When it comes to maximum, you're able to make a maximum investment of $20,000, guys. Now, the good part about binary options is that there are 0 fees. In comparison with other assets or other asset classes, binary options has the benefit of having no fees when you are trading. I want to point out that when we're talking about minimum investment, maximum investments, these are going to vary depending on the currency of the account. And it's also going to vary depending on exposure, which is something that I also want to discuss. When I talk about exposure, guys, I basically refer to the total amount that could be invested in one single trade. And of course, each asset is going to have different exposure. Reason why the traders have a specific limit of funds that they're able to invest in a specific asset according to the exposure limits that is going to be set by the company. Now, all assets, of course, will and can experience high periods of volatility, which can actually affect the exposure and actually prevent sudden currency fluctuations, guys. I want to show you what I mean here on the platform. Just a second. So let me switch again. Can everyone see my charts? All right, perfect. So here we are trading on Euro USD. And as we said before, by pressing here, you're able to adjust your different expiration time. So I'm setting my expiration time to 1 minute. Okay, so pay attention here. When I press higher, you see here that I am able to open multiple trades because I still have 2, 1. Okay, so now you see that I'm not able to open any other trades on this option. And this here indicates, so the red line that we talked about before indicates the duration of the trade. When we pass this point, when we reach this point, the trade is going to close. So in case you want to open a new trade, you either press plus new option here, and you're able to open again another option here, or you just go by pressing on the new asset here. So once more, purchase time, we open our trade. You see that we still have the ability to open multiple trades here. Okay, and when the purchase time actually finishes, we're not going to be able to open any additional trades. The red line, again, just indicates when the trade is going to finish. I hope that's clear, guys. Let me move on back to my presentation, just a second. Now, charts, very, very important. Depending on what kind of chart you're using, you're going to be able to apply different approaches. You're going to be able to see different information. So the very first thing that is suggested when you're switching to different assets is understanding what kind of chart you're going to be using and what kind of settings you are going to be setting. Okay. Now, the very first chart, the most basic chart that you get is the line chart. It's basically a graphical representation of an asset, historical price action that actually just connects a series of different data points. Candles. And I want to give emphasis here because candlesticks are the most important, most popular actually category of charts that people use these days. Why though? Because candlesticks actually pack a lot of information into just one single bar. And, this basically makes it a lot more useful to, when you compare it with, for example, a line chart or a bar chart. Okay, because you're able to actually understand the different patterns that candlesticks build and, the different price direction when they are completed. Bar charts, this is another type of chart that we have on the platform. Again, this just shows the open price, the highs, the lows, and the close price of a specific period of time. Finally, Heiken Ashi candlesticks, again, they are very, very similar to Japanese candlesticks. However, these charts actually filter out market noise. So basically, you have a smoother chart, and this makes it easier for you guys to be able to spot any kind of trends or any kind of reversals in the market. Now, since Japanese candlesticks are the most popular, I actually want to take the time and give a little bit more emphasis on candlesticks, on Japanese candlesticks. So again, a Japanese candlestick line represents the activity for a fixed period of time that you're going to be setting. So this could be a minute, it could be an hour, it could be a day, it could be a week. Okay, and this basically shows the opening prices, the high price, the low price, and of course, the closing price, all packed into one single candlestick. And let me show you here what I mean. So here we have a green candlestick and a red candlestick. Now, if we're going to have a green candlestick, this means the price opens here and it basically closes here. Okay, so green candlestick means that we're opening at a specific price, but we're closing at a higher price. You're also going to notice that you have two lines on the very top and on the very bottom. Those are called wicks. What those basically represent is the extreme points that the price reached at that point. So let's assume that our candlestick is a 1 minute candlestick. It opened at the open price. It might have moved at the very low price that you see here, the lower price. It might also reach the highest price here. So it reached a peak, but at the end of that time frame, it closed at the close price. Given the example of a rent candlestick, it's going to be the reverse. So you're opening at this level here, the open price, but you're also closing at a much lower level. That's why it's going to be a red candlestick. And again, the two wicks at the very top and the bottom, the small lines that you see here, just basically represent the two extremes that price actually reached at that point. With candlesticks, you also have a specific, very, very important setting, guys, that you need to be adjusting. This is the candlestick time period. This is going to be very crucial depending on what strategy you're going to be using, what expiration time, because this is going to allow you to see more information about what is happening. Depending on the candlestick time period, also, you're going to be able to see different changes in the trend. So in this example here, you are seeing a green candlestick. This basically represents just a candlestick that we've set to 10 seconds. So the whole duration of this candlestick, when we adjust the candlestick time period, is just 10 seconds. So again, you go on the bottom left, you have a small circle that says candle time period, and from there you are able to select the time period. Now, as a rule of thumb, let's say that you select a specific expiration time. Usually, your candlestick time period is going to be divided by 4. So if, for example, you are selecting 5 minutes, your candlesticks are going to be around 1 minute. So again, why this is important, as I mentioned in the beginning, depending on what kind of period you select, what kind of expiration time you're using, all of these things are going to vary. So make sure that you make a correct decision based on your strategy, based on your expiration times, and based on the information that you want to be seeing on your chart. Let me show you on the chart what I mean on the platform. Just a second, guys. Let me switch again. I hope everyone can see my platform. So here is where you're able to see the different charts. We have our line chart, we have our candlesticks, we have our bar charts, and of course, the Heiken Ashi ones. For the candlesticks, you see here that we are able to use different time frames. And of course, depending on what kind of a time frame you're using, every X amount of time that you've selected, a new candlestick is going to spawn for that specific duration. So if I set it to 10 seconds, you can see here that each candlestick lasts 10 seconds. And again, how you read them, let's take the example of this one here. So we're opening at this price here at the specific 10 seconds. So we have our candlestick set to 10 seconds. So within those 10 seconds, we see that the price reached this high point here and closed at this point. The next candlestick is red, meaning that from here on, the price might have moved down or have moved up. It reached this point at some point during those 10 seconds, but it closed here. Okay, and you can see the rest here. So again, let me take another random example here. You see that this big green candlestick opened at this price, moved up within these 10 seconds that we've set the candlesticks to, and closed at this point. So you can see that depending on the different time frames that you're going to be using, you're also going to notice that the patterns are going to be different. So guys, choose wisely when it comes to candlestick time period, because depending on what kind of a duration you're going to be choosing from, you're going to be able to see different kinds of information. Moving on. One very, very important feature that binary options has is the sell feature. Very, very useful, guys, and I'm going to explain why. So, first of all, the sell button gives you the ability to sell your trade before the expiration time actually finishes. In turbo options, from 1 to 5 minutes, you have the sell button available up to 15 seconds before the expiration time finishes. And when, of course, it comes to binary options, you have the sell button active from 30 minutes until the last 2 minutes before the expiration time. When it comes to the end of the day, guys, the end of the week, the end of the month, the sell button is active 45 minutes before the expiration time. Okay. So this session, Sidwell, this session is going to be available later for you to review if you want to. Okay, so don't worry. Even if you miss something, you're going to be able to go back and review this. Okay. Now, advantages. So I'm sure you guys understood that the sell button has a lot of advantages, and a lot of people use it because of this. So first of all, of course, you are able to avoid losing 100% of your investment amount. So if for whatever reason you open a trade and you're seeing that your trade isn't doing so well, you have the ability to actually close your trade and not lose all of your investment amount. Secondly, you can lock in some profits. If you're seeing that you've entered a trade, you've been doing very, very well, you have chunks of profits and you want to be able to secure some of them, this is where the sell button on the top right is going to help you do so. By pressing it when it's available, you are going to be able to lock in some of your profits and take a win. Finally, if for whatever reason, guys, you do not want to wait for the trade to close and you have the sell button available, just use it and close your trade. It's up to you. So up to now, we've taken the time to explain a lot of different things when it comes to binary options. And I want you guys to understand why millions of traders prefer binary options and why it's so popular. Firstly, you can start with very low investment amounts. So as we discussed before, if you're a beginner, you can start off with a minimum of $10 as a deposit, and you can start investing with as low as $1. Risk involved is limited. In the beginning, we talked about the fact that you are only able to lose your initial investment. So if you invest $1, that's how much you're going to be risking, just the dollar, nothing more. Thirdly, of course, as we mentioned, rewards are going to be very high. You can even double your money. Results are fast. This is the main reason why a lot of people are very interested in options. It's because in 1 minute you can have a result and we can make very big profits. You can make very big profits. It is, of course, available on many different assets. We've tried to include the most popular assets for you guys, currency pairs, commodities, stocks. So you're able to trade a variety of different assets, and you are also able to use a variety of different strategies, different approaches. Now, I also want to talk a little bit about a couple of extra things. We're going to be talking about support and resistance. When you're trading with anything, when you're trading with binary options, one of the most fundamental and popular technical analysis tool that you're going to be using is support and resistance lines. It basically indicates how likely the market will be headed, which direction is going to be headed based on specific psychological levels. To understand if you're actually looking at some kind of a support and resistance, the price needs to actually test that specific line 2 times and actually bounce off for you to get any kind of confirmation. After the second time, if it tests it again and it actually breaks through, you're either going to get a bullish or a bearish confirmation. So just to summarize, a support line is a line where the price tends to find support as it goes down, as it falls, which means that the price is more likely going to bounce off this point, all right, rather than, of course, break through it. However, if the price has breached the support level by a specific amount, it's actually going to continue to follow the direction downwards until it finds another support level. Now, the reverse can be said about a resistance level. It's basically the opposite. It's where the price tends to find resistance as it goes up. Again, this means that the price is most likely going to bounce off this level rather than break through it. However, if it does finally breach, if it does finally break through this point by a specific amount, it's going to continue going upwards, most likely until it reaches another resistance level. Now, I want you to remember something. When you are drawing your support and your resistance levels, the price needs to test at least 2 times your line. Okay, then it needs to bounce off in order for you to get any kind of confirmation. So let me show you an example here. Look at this support level here, guys. So here you see that the price actually tested this point 5 times. And you're seeing how the price actually rests at this point. It touches the line, it bounces back. It touches the line, it bounces back. And by looking at this, we can actually understand if it's a support line, if there's a strong support at that level. When we're looking at the second line here, this is a resistance line. And again, we're seeing that the price tests this level at 3 specific points. Another one here, another good example here. And you can see that support and resistance is everywhere. So you can basically find support and resistance everywhere. Okay, so again, we'll take the example here of trading on Bitcoin, on binaries. And again, here you're able to see a nice resistance level. And again, points 1 to here test our support. And you can see we have a lot of examples here. So my point here is that support and resistance is everywhere, and it's a very fundamental thing to be able to understand and draw your lines correctly, so you can understand which direction the price is going to potentially break. If it's going to break upwards because it's breached the resistance line, or if it's going to break downwards because it's breached the support line. Another one here. So one thing I want to point out, guys, is that when you're drawing your lines, they don't necessarily need to be horizontal. So as I said before, support resistance can be everywhere, and you can even draw your lines diagonally. There's so many things that you're going to be able to do when it comes to drawing the different lines. Okay, so again, this very last line here, you're seeing that again, it's testing different points, and we are able to basically get a better idea on how the price is going to move. Now, let's just take the time and look at our platform. Just a second, guys. All right, guys. So let us set our candlestick time period to 5 minutes. And let us try to find different support and resistance. So if you want to be drawing your lines, you can either use the horizontal lines here, or you can also use the lines, whatever you prefer. All right, so let's try to find a couple of support and resistance here. So remember, guys, that the price needs to test your support and your resistance at least 2 times. Okay, the more times this actually tests your lines, the better. So here's a small example here. It doesn't necessarily have to be exactly at this point, but again, the more the better. So another one you can spot here. We have a level here. You can also draw channels. Okay, but the point here, guys, is that you are going to be able to spot different support and resistance levels everywhere. They are everywhere. If you change it to, let's say, a minute, you're going to see that you have different patterns. So here's another one here. You might want to be drawing, and so on. Okay, guys, just a second. Let me move out of this. All right, so as I mentioned before, again, you can use all of this to actually understand how price is going to move. And it's always a good idea to set your different levels depending on the strategies that you're going to be using. So, it can better help you understand what's going to happen in the future and help you with your different strategies. All right, so make sure to be sure to have your support or your resistance touch at least 2 times and bounce back. Okay. And remember that the more times the price tests your support and your resistance, the better confirmation you are going to get. Okay. All right, guys. So let me just move back to my chart, to my presentation. So this is it for the presentation. I do see that you have a lot of questions, and I'm going to try and answer all of them. So let me just go here on my chart and actually see all the different questions that you guys have. So first question, Kyrillos Emad Wadi, sorry about the pronunciation. So your question is, where can I find trading strategies? Now, there's plenty of trading strategies that you can actually look at, which can actually be used for binary options. One way to learn about the different approaches that you can use is by becoming a VIP trader, which also has a lot of benefits. All right, so you're able to have a higher profit in binary options. You get to have your own personal account manager where you can actually request callbacks, faster withdrawals. So this is one way to to get more strategies when it comes to trading with with options or anything else. Next question here is Bilal Rami. Are there commodities in binary options? Yes, as we mentioned before, you're going to find different commodities available, of course, depending on availability and your region, of course. Another question here, Luandil Tsikwe. I keep on blowing my account and it's painful. It's been 3 years, guys. So first of all, I'm very sorry about that. Look, it's very important to understand the risks when you're trading, obviously. Usually experienced traders actually stick with one specific method if it's working for them. We're actually going to be conducting another webinar soon that's going to be focusing on money management and how you're going to be able to approach your trades. Okay, so stick around for that as well. Let me see here. Kinan Ramshayi asks, what is the best strategy to use that's going to be most profitable? So again, there's not going to be a golden strategy. Okay, everything is going to depend on a lot of factors. What you're trading on, when you're trading on, every strategy may work for a specific trader. It might not work for another one. Okay, so in terms of strategies, you need to be able to adapt to what you're trading on. And even if you find the strategy, you need to be able to make it your own, because it's not going to work for everyone. You might find a strategy that might work for someone else, but it might not work for you. So to answer your question, there is no most profitable strategy. It's going to depend on, it's going to depend on yourself and how you use that approach. All right, so let me see here. What else? Chaff Anthony Fingers, how often does IQ Option host tournaments? Well, we have tournaments on a regular basis. So on the platform, let me just quickly show you where you can see them. Just a second, let me show you on the platform where you are able to see. So you just press on more, and here you go. Okay. These are all the tournaments that you are going to be able to trade on. Okay. Moving on to our next question here. Saliu Lawrence, Inianori, sorry about that. What time is the best time for trading options? Well, this is actually a complicated question, so there is no best time. It depends on a lot of things. What kind of strategy are you using? Do you trade long-term, short-term? It all depends on what you prefer, when you're most comfortable, what you're most comfortable with, and basically a lot of other factors. So there is no best time for trading options. All right, this will vary based on a lot of things. Okay, so Akinyemi Oluwafemi. Hi, I have discovered that many times the market is not stable. My question is, when is the best time to trade, especially for beginners? All right, so look, since you are a beginner, it's very important to understand that basically news and fundamentals are going to affect how a currency period is going to move and how it's going to fluctuate. Now, if you want to avoid volatility, it's actually best to read when there's going to be news, when they're going to be announced, what times, and so in order to see when there is going to be news, so when you're trading on a currency pair and you want to see when it's going to be volatile or if something that's going to happen might affect this currency pair, let me just show you on the platform where you can actually go to see this. So if you can all see my platform, you are going to press on market analysis here. And here you're actually able to see a lot of information about what's happening in the markets. Now, if you're trading on currencies, for example, you're going to press here. And you're actually able to see all the different macroeconomic events, all the different news of that day. And based on that, you're going to be able to make your trade. Now, how this works is, depending on what type of an event it is, it's either going to cause the specific currency pair to either go up or down. And you can use this to your advantage. So depending on the event, the severity of the event, it's going to cause a specific amount of movement, depending on how traders perceive this event, if it's negative, if it's positive. So to answer your question, your best approach is to be also observing the news and to be able to know, to be aware of what's happening at that specific time. Okay? Let me see here what other questions we have. All right, so Nomvula, how do I know if my account is verified? I've already submitted my documents. Just get in touch with our support and they're going to help you and answer these questions. Okay, they can check and they can tell you. Chikozi Ikenwa, your question is using the mobile app good for trading options? So look, the mobile app is one of the most popular for devices when you're going to be trading, but it's your choice to decide which suits you best. Okay, maybe people prefer the phones when they're traveling. Other people prefer to use the platform because everything is bigger. So to answer your question, you can use the mobile application. All of them, whether you're using it from a phone or from a computer, it is the same. I mean, you don't lose anything. But again, this is going to depend on how you trade, what you prefer trading on, and if it's more convenient for you. So if you want to be trading on your phone, you're not going to have any disadvantages. All right. So again, it absolutely depends on your preference. Chikozi Ikenwa again, another question here I'm seeing from you again. Is the price movement in the demo account the same as the real account? Absolutely. So I've had this question a lot of times, and the answer is 100% yes. So whatever you're seeing in the practice account reflects in what you're seeing in your real account. There is absolutely no difference. Okay, so another question here. Teboko Trudy Maimane. Why is that when trading demo, one makes outstanding profits, and then when you trade live, you have major issues? All right, so to answer this question, this almost 100% of the times depends on your psychology. What I notice with a lot of my beginners is that they, first of all, tend to risk more money in the practice account. They usually put bigger amounts, making bigger amounts of profit. And then when they eventually move to the real account and they're using smaller amounts, they see that there's a massive difference. Also, one thing that I noticed, and this is something that I try to work with a lot of my traders, is their psychology. So when you are on your practice account, you tend to be more relaxed. But when you're risking your own money, it's a completely different situation. And you're going to see that your decisions vary when you're trading with simulated money and when you're actually risking your own. Okay, so this is the major difference that I'm seeing in terms of profits. Okay, and the differences between them. What you can work on is actually try to use more realistic amounts in the practice account. So since practice and real account are the same in terms of market conditions, and it's actually the same thing, but you're trading with demo money on the practice and your own in the real. When you're in the practice account, try focusing on using small amounts, okay, realistic amounts that you would actually be using in the real account. Okay, hope this answers your question. So Stefan's Johans Bulerus, sorry about the pronunciation again. When will there be more in-depth training? Yes, we are working on something more in-depth. I wanted to take the time and actually understand, okay, your needs, because a lot of people are beginners here. So we wanted to first of all do a very basic session, a very basic webinar on binary options, the differences, the benefits, and after that, we're going to be also doing more detailed things about a lot of things. All right. If there is something that you would like to see, any kind of webinars that you would like to have, feel free to get in touch with our support, your account managers, speak with them, suggest things, and based on your feedback, we're going to be creating more and more webinars. Let me just see here. So when is the best candlesticks time frame for trading options? So as I said before, in case you missed it, Franklin, as a rule of thumb, I would usually say divide whatever expiration time you are basically using by 4. So if, for example, you're trading with 5 minutes, divide that by 4. So usually around a minute. Okay. Basically, try to use something smaller than your expiration time. Okay. Depending on the time frame that you select, you're going to be able to see different patterns, different levels. Anthi Malamlela. Sorry about that again. Yes, we are going to be sharing this soon with you guys. Don't worry. Even if you miss something, we are, of course, going to share this with you so you can review it anytime you want. Let me see here. Any other questions? Another question, what is the difference between OTC and the real life market? As I said before, OTC is basically available when the markets are closed. So as you know, markets can only be open from Monday to Friday. Okay, so people wanted to be able to trade on the weekends. It's their day off. People get to relax and trade. And this is why we've created OTC, over the counter, which is basically, as I mentioned before, a simulation of market conditions, of different market conditions. So you're able to trade even on the weekend and make some nice profits on options. Okay, so this is the major difference. Live market conditions and OTC is simulated market conditions. Patience says, how do I change my demo amount to realistic amounts that I can practice with? Look, in order to move from demo account to real account, you have to deposit money first. Okay, so if you make a deposit, you can then just press on your balance and you are going to be able to switch between the two. All right, so if you deposit $10, you're going to be able to simply just press on your balance. Your real account will say $10. You press on it, it switches to the real account, and you can start trading. Yes, OTC stands for over the counter, correct. Okay, Lucky, just joining in. Is there any way to catch the first part of your presentation? Lucky, don't worry. As I mentioned a couple of minutes back, we are gonna send this presentation to you guys. We're gonna send you a whole replay of this webinar to your email address, including the beginning, the middle, the end, the questions. Everything is going to be included. So don't worry. Even if you've missed something, you can still rewatch it whenever you want to. Other questions here? Let me see. Okay, so Chukwudi Christopher, when are you going to give us strategies for trading binary options? Look, I showed you the basic support and resistance, which is very, very popular. Okay, so try practicing drawing your support and your resistance. Again, make sure that you find 2 points that actually bounce off between your support and your resistance, so you get a better confirmation. The more points you're able to have touch and bounce off that specific support and resistance, the better confirmation you're going to get, the more precise confirmation you are going to get. All right. So I would suggest you take the time and rewatch the webinar just to understand how to set your support and resistance. Try practicing on that, because understanding support and resistance levels is going to be the fundamental thing that you're going to be able to know when it comes to trading with if you're going to be doing technical analysis. So of course you can take the time and use indicators, but it's also a good idea to know how to draw support and resistance. Okay. Barrington, hi, is the webinar still on? Yes, we have a Q&A right now. Feel free to ask any questions. So if there's something you want to ask, now is the time to do so. Will you send the webinar to everyone's email addresses? Yes. How do we withdraw money? Okay, let me just show you. Even though I've already done a webinar about this, I'll very quickly show you how you can withdraw, where you press. Okay, guys, so if everyone can see my platform, so this is where you can start off to make your deposit. If you haven't made a deposit, for the person asking me before, this is how you're going to be able to switch between your accounts. And here, you are able to press to withdraw your funds. Okay? So you hover your mouse over here, you press on it, you're going to have your different settings, and you press withdraw funds. Okay? Let me see here. What is the max limit for withdrawals? Again, this was covered in our previous webinar. This is going to vary between how you're going to be, depositing, how you're going to be withdrawing. So limits are going to depend on, the methods that you actually use. Okay. Let me see here what other questions we have. Oh, you guys have a lot of questions today. Just a second. So, Donald Ikby, what is the least amount of money that can be deposited in real account, and when can I be able to withdraw after one starts trading and making profit? So again, I suggest that you take the time and you watch the previous webinar if you haven't seen it. Minimum deposit is just $10. All right, and the maximum you are able to withdraw, minimum deposit is just $10, and the minimum you can actually withdraw is just $2. So if you make deposit, you make some profits, you need to at least withdraw $2 and above. So, Joshua, how to be VIP. So, this is going to vary. Usually, to become VIP, you need to be depositing specific amounts, and you also need to be trading. So, if you're the kind of person that is going to be trading, it's going to have a nice trading volume. The company might consider making you VIP. All right. So VIPs, you become VIP based on specific criteria. Okay. Let me see here. How can I withdraw all my funds at one time? So, depending on how much you're going to be withdrawing, what method you're going to be using, there might be some limits, but don't forget that even if there's a limit to a specific withdrawal amount, you can just make another withdrawal request. Okay. Okay. Yes, you can't clear your trading history. So, guys, I think the questions have all finished. I think we are coming to an end. Is there anything else that you guys want to ask? I think we've answered most of these questions. Again, if you do have any questions, our support is always available to help you. So make sure that you get in touch with them, and they can also answer a lot of questions. They're going to be very, very helpful. Okay. In the meantime, guys, I do appreciate you taking the time to look at this webinar, to sit here with me and ask all of these questions. I really do appreciate this. I hope you, how can I become a moderator at IQ Option? All right. So, all right, more questions I'm seeing here. How do you create a new account? Okay, last question. So how do you create a new account? Just go to our website, and you're going to see there, sign up. Just press it and enter your details, and you can just open an account with us and start trading with just $10 as the minimum deposit. Okay, guys, thank you so much for your time. Okay, I do appreciate this. Make sure to look at this whenever you want to. Take the time and rewatch this when we are finished. We're going to send this to you again. So even if there's something that you've missed, you can always rewatch the whole thing. We're going to send this to you on your emails, guys. So take the time, rewatch this. If there's something you don't understand, get in touch with your account manager or support. And I hope you guys were able to get some useful information out of this. In the meantime, stay tuned. More things are coming, more in-depth webinars about a lot of different topics that you guys chose. In the meantime, I want to thank you again. I want to tell you to have a great day. Enjoy your weekend and have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.